So the next generation of handheld gaming PCs is upon us, and I have to admit, they're pretty impressive. High performance graphics, OLED displays with VRR integration, and vastly improved power consumption. As someone who's still rocking the original LCD version of the Steam Deck, I'm interested in an upgrade. There's only one problem. As great as these next-gen handhelds are, there exists a device that came out 2 years ago that you can find on sale right now for less than half the cost of these new handhelds, and on paper is only 15 to 20% weaker. And that's the topic of today's video. Today I want to talk about why I decided to buy a Lenovo Legion Go in 2025. Now, first and foremost, while I unbox this thing, I want to address the biggest elephant in the room, and that's cost. The performance models of these new handhelds are going to run you upwards of $1,000. And make no mistake about it, if they had launched at around the $700 or $800 price point, we'd be having a very different conversation right now. $1,000 plus is a little too steep for my pockets. So if you're someone that cost is not an issue, the next gen handhelds are absolutely badass. I just don't think that they're $1,000 badass. I was able to pick up this Legion Go for about 400 USD, about 430 with tax and shipping. The listing stated that this thing was hardly ever used, but showed up on arrival with a damaged screen, so a screen repair needed to be done. And if you look on the edges here, you can still see some of the glue residue that was used for the screen swap. Regardless, $400 was an absolute steal for this handheld, and brand new, I've seen them on sale at some places between the $600 to $700 mark. Next on the list is its processing capabilities. Newer handhelds like the Legion Go 2 and the Xbox Ally use a version of the AMD Ryzen Z2 Extreme chipset, and with its ability to perform at a high level, especially in a low power environment, makes it worthy of being a next generation chipset. However, when compared to the Z1 Extreme that's inside the Legion Go 1, we're only looking at about a 15 to 20% performance increase, depending on what game you're playing. Now, coming from the original Steam Deck, both chipsets are a substantial improvement, but with most of the games that I play regularly in my Steam library, I would hardly notice the difference between the Z1 Extreme and the Z2 Extreme. Next up is its display, and I'm not gonna lie, this one was a bit of a bummer. Damn near everything is better with an OLED display, and I feel like it should be an industry norm at this point. But despite not having an OLED, the Legion Go still has this gorgeous 8.8-inch QHD Plus IPS display with a resolution of 2560 by 1600 and 144 Hz refresh rate. So for a non-OLED display, it's pretty top tier. Colors are still going to be vibrant, animations are still going to be dynamic. It's a good display, especially for it being 2 years old, especially coming from the LCD version of the Steam Deck. I'll be honest, I heavily considered upgrading to a Steam Deck OLED, which at this current point in time, brand new out the box, I still feel is the best bang for your buck. But what made me change my mind is the next reason on my list, and that is the Windows environment, or should I say the availability of SteamOS. If you haven't had the privilege of gaming on a Steam Deck or a SteamOS device, it is a life-changing experience. Now, you might think that statement is me being hyperbolic, but I am dead serious. SteamOS spoils us so much to the point that it's difficult to go back to gaming on Windows. SteamOS takes PC gaming and gives us a console-like experience in terms of accessibility and convenience. It's the perfect middle ground between console and PC. If you've only ever gamed on console, switching over to PC can be a bit of a daunting task. SteamOS feeds it to you in clean, organized, palatable, bite-sized servings. Not to mention the performance improvements due to SteamOS being optimized specifically for gaming. For the past few years, us gamers really had to choose. Do we prioritize the ease of access of SteamOS, or do we prioritize the compatibility of a Windows device? Thankfully, that's no longer the case, and you can now install SteamOS on a variety of different devices, including the Legion Go. So if at any point I get fed up with Windows BS, I can always install SteamOS. That made it so much easier for me to make my decision. With that being said, I specifically wanted a Windows device, and I will be keeping this Legion Go as Windows, at least for now, for the next reason, and that's emulation. Now, all of these devices are great emulation consoles, including the Steam Deck, but I have a few of these massive emulation hard drives. One of them is even 12 terabytes, and they're only compatible with Windows devices. And I want to be able to use them in a more portable setting and not only on my desktop. And the Legion Go is perfect for that. It can easily emulate everything on this hard drive, and the games look and play fantastic. All of the emulators, including some of the more demanding stuff, can be ran at full HD here, and with its 2 USB-C inputs and its extra durable kickstand, this makes for a really kick-ass tabletop emulation setup. Of course, I could always transfer the contents over to a micro SD card and have a more portable experience, but this works just fine for me. Now, of course, it's not perfect. This thing is still a massive handheld, and it's an absolute power hog. Seriously, you'll be lucky to get an hour and a half of playtime with some of the more demanding stuff. And these are two things that stopped me from purchasing it when it first came out. But for the price that you can currently get one of these for, I think it's a worthy compromise. And of course, its bells and whistles played a factor as well. Its trackpad that is not as responsive as the ones on the Steam Deck, but I am thankful that it's there. And its detachable Joy-Con-like controls. As someone who plays their Steam Deck regularly as a console while traveling, it's going to be nice to not have to pack an extra controller. And of course, the True Strike mouse mode, where you can take this thing off and use it kind of like a mouse while playing FPS games. It's kind of weird and not the most comfortable, but it's still pretty cool. All played a factor in me deciding to get a Legion Go. So what it basically boils down to is the jump from the original Steam Deck to the newer handhelds that are available today. It's a pretty massive jump, but it's not that big of a jump from the Legion Go. And the fact that you could pick up one of these for a fraction of the cost of the new ones kind of made it an obvious choice for me. I mean, we've seen this before in the past, where sometimes new technology takes a generation before we see that substantial leap forward. And I feel that's where we're at currently. Valve has even stated that they're waiting for a significant hardware performance leap before working on a Steam Deck 2. So at this point in time, buying one of those $1,000 plus machines, you're only going to see incremental improvements. Which is why in 2025, I decided to just buy a Lenovo Legion Go. As always, links to everything I talked about and much more will be in the description in case you guys are interested. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Until next time, this is Ness, signing out.